heard the mantra a million times. If you want a safer Baltimore, get those dangerous guns off the streets. But leaders at the top say you can't be the only ones in the game. Some believe that people on each and every block have to play a role. But are the gun buybacks the best bet?
Churches, police departments, and local neighborhood groups think so. They stage these events, spending their money and a bit of yours. But experts say it may just be public relations. Staring down the barrel of a gun. This is the last thing 31,000 Americans see each year before they take their last breath. And this is the noise they hear as the power of a gun is harnessed to take a life.
They're tragic deaths, and they're so preventable.
Prevention, some believe, begins by getting guns out of homes where they could be used by accident or out of hands that plan to use them for harm on purpose.
Can't afford to be on the sidelines. We have to be on the front line.
When you're fighting on the front lines in the war against violence, some, like well-known Baltimore pastor Jamal Bryant, believe you got to do more than just worship with the Lord. You've got to open your wallet.
It's up to us at the grassroots level to really get in front of it. And we shouldn't just be the headquarters for the funerals. We should, in fact, be the mascots for life. And so one of those things is to try to get as many guns off the street as possible.
Last August, Bryant's church, Empowerment Temple, staged a gun buyback to do just that, paying out thousands in cash from their personal collection basket for firearms. Their buyback, one of 5 staged just in the last 18 months in Baltimore City, Howard County, and Prince George's County. The goal, collect dangerous guns. But was their mission accomplished? ABC2 investigators wanted to find out. We obtained lists of every weapon purchased in any area buyback held since 2011 from the police departments that took control of the guns that were turned in, breaking down more than 1,100 firearms by type, make, and caliber, building our own inventory of what was surrendered to the long arm of the law, taking our findings to an expert.
When we talk about America's gun homicide problem, it's a handgun homicide problem.
Jan Vernick would know. He's spent decades studying gun violence with the Johns Hopkins Center for Gun Policy and Research. He says those who go round and round about addressing violence like to shine a light on handguns. They're not what we found in those buybacks, though. In the nearly 1,000 guns we found turned in Baltimore City and Howard County, only 15% were handguns, the weapon used overwhelmingly in city homicides. Meanwhile, those buybacks turned up nearly 400 revolvers and more than 300 rifles and shotguns.
It's not as though these weapons pose no risk either on the street or in homes. They do, but when you compare risk, it's the higher caliber weapons that tend to be disproportionately seen in the crimes that are plaguing our streets.
And it's unlikely some of the weapons we saw could muster the mettle to even help commit a crime. Our digging turned up prop guns, starter pistols, and even antique black powder guns among the collection.
Real criminals, a firearm is a tool of their trade, so they're not giving up their weapons for gift cards or money.
But that's what these events often offer. In Prince George's County last December, gift cards worth up to $150 were given out, $10,000 worth, half of which was funded by a county grant. And while some buybacks, like the ones held in Baltimore City, didn't use public funds for the firearms, your tax dollars were still at work at each and every one, as police officers collected and then categorized the weapons.
That's money and effort that could be better spent on interventions that we know are more effective.
While buybacks don't hit the target when it comes to dropping violent crime, research shows they can take solid aim at another problem.
If one weapon is removed and saves somebody from an accidental death, then it's worth it.
Former federal agent and current University of Maryland criminology professor Tom Moriello is a critic of gun buybacks when you talk about using them as a crime tool. But when it comes to preventing accidental shootings, he is this kind of event's personal champion.
When it happened, I remember the family members saying, "I can't believe this happened to us." I remember that day.
It was Christmas Eve, 1997. Moriello's 12-year-old nephew, Brian Kroll, was playing with his best friend. That friend found a gun, and as Brian spoke to his sister on the phone,
pointed at my nephew, shot twice, nothing happened because, again, he thought he had an empty weapon. Third time that the gun fired, hit my nephew in the chest.
Brian died 3 hours later, the victim of an accidental shooting. The gun used, something his family desperately wishes had been locked up or turned over in a buyback.
It's a good opportunity for them to just get rid of a weapon.
A weapon experts may not consider the most desirable get for a street criminal, but powerful nonetheless, worth getting off the street if someone will hand it in.
Maybe it sends a message to you and your neighbors that we want to do something. Just make sure it's not the last thing that you do.